There's something you keep not doing. You think about it. You even plan it. But when the moment comes, you just don't start. Instead, you scroll. You clean. You tell yourself, I'll do it later. And later never really comes. So you call it laziness. But what if it's not laziness at all? What if there's something underneath it, quietly stopping you? Something your brain is trying to protect you from, without you even realizing it. It doesn't feel like a big dramatic problem. It's subtle, quiet. You wake up with intention, but by the end of the day, nothing meaningful moved. And the worst part isn't the delay, it's what you start telling yourself because of it. I'm just not disciplined. I'm wasting my potential. Why can't I just do simple things? That voice gets louder over time. And slowly, this isn't just about tasks anymore. It becomes about who you are. You hesitate to start things that matter. You avoid decisions that feel important. You even pull back from opportunities you once wanted. Not because you don't care, but because caring feels heavy. There's also a pattern. The more something matters to you, the harder it is to begin. Small, meaningless tasks? Easy. But the things tied to your identity, your career, your creativity, your future, those are the ones that stay untouched. And that contradiction is confusing. If you care so much, why can't you act? The answer isn't in motivation. It's an emotion. You're not lazy. Laziness implies a lack of desire, but you do want to act. You think about it constantly. So this isn't absence of drive. It's resistance. And resistance always has a reason. In psychology, this is often called emotional avoidance. Your brain isn't refusing to work, it's refusing to feel something. Because from its perspective, that feeling might be too costly. So instead of moving forward, it redirects you into safer behaviors. Scrolling, over-planning, waiting for the right mood. Not because you're weak, but because your brain is trying to protect you. The question is, what exactly is it protecting you from? Your brain has one primary job: keep you safe. Not successful, not fulfilled, safe. And safety for your brain isn't just physical, it's emotional. Anything that threatens your identity, your self-image, your sense of worth can feel like danger. Here's where it gets interesting. When you face a task that matters, your brain doesn't just see the task, it simulates possible outcomes: failure, rejection, judgment. And those aren't neutral possibilities. They trigger the same neural systems associated with pain and threat. The amygdala, your brain's threat detector, lights up. And once that happens, your brain shifts into avoidance mode. Not consciously, automatically. Think of it like this. Your brain is a prediction machine, and when it predicts emotional pain, it pulls the emergency brake. That brake doesn't feel like fear. It feels like, I don't feel like it, or I'll do it later, or I just need more motivation. But underneath that is a much simpler mechanism. Avoid the feeling. Here's a mental model to hold on to. Between you and the task, there's an invisible layer of emotion. If that emotion feels safe, you move forward. If it feels threatening, you avoid. So the problem isn't the task itself. It's what the task represents. And once you see that, everything starts to shift. You don't fix this by forcing discipline. You fix it by changing your relationship with the emotion underneath. Here are 4 principles that work with your brain, not against it. What to do. Before starting, pause and ask, what am I actually feeling about this? Why it works. Labeling emotions reduces amygdala activity. It moves processing from emotional centers to the prefrontal cortex, where control lives. Real-life example. You sit down to work and feel stuck. Instead of pushing harder, you pause and say, I think I'm afraid this won't be good enough. That small shift reduces the threat. What to do? Lower the meaning of the task. Make it smaller than your identity. Why it works. When a task feels tied to your self-worth, failure becomes threatening. Reducing that link lowers emotional resistance. Real-life example. Instead of, this project defines my future, you reframe it as, this is just one imperfect attempt. Now your brain doesn't see it as a threat to survival. What to do? Focus on showing up, not doing well. Why it works? This mirrors exposure therapy. Repeated low-pressure exposure teaches your brain the task is safe. Real-life example. You don't try to finish the entire task, you just open it and work for 5 minutes. Over time, the fear response weakens. What to do? Catch yourself in the first moment of escape. Why it works? Avoidance is a habit loop. Trigger, escape, relief. Breaking it early prevents reinforcement. Real-life example. You reach for your phone right before starting. You notice it, pause, and return to the task. That interruption rewires the loop over time. Each of these steps does one thing. They reduce emotional threat. And when the threat goes down, action becomes easier. Not because you forced it, but because your brain stopped resisting it. So here's the deeper truth. You were never avoiding the work. You were avoiding what the work might make you feel. Failure, exposure, not being enough. Once you understand that, laziness stops being the story, and the new model replaces it. Action follows emotional safety, not motivation, not discipline, safety. When something feels safe enough, you move. When it doesn't, you stall. So the real skill isn't forcing action. It's learning how to sit with the emotion that comes before it. You don't need to become a different person. You don't need more willpower. You just need to understand what your mind has been trying to protect you from and meet it with a little more awareness, a little more patience. Because the moment you stop fighting the feeling is the moment it starts losing control over you. And maybe the next time you don't start something, instead of calling yourself lazy, you'll ask a different question. What am I trying not to feel right now? And that question might be the first real step forward.